Am I the a-hole for wanting to end my engagement because her kids don't accept me and I want a family of my own? I, 34 male, have been with my fiancé, 33 female, for 6 years now. She was a widow with 2 kids when we met. The kids were 5 and 6 when their dad died. They were 7 and 8 when I met my fiancé, and we have lived together for the past 3 years and have been engaged for 7 months. We've all had individual therapy, family therapy, and I've tried to go at their pace, but the kids don't like me. They won't like anyone their mom is with. That much is painfully clear. But they are so against me that I would not want to get married and have kids with my fiancé and bring them into a divided family. It has been argued by some of her friends and mine that things might be this way because we're not married, that the kids would respect me and believe I'm staying if we get married. And I accept there's a chance of that. But what if we get married and they still hate me? Or maybe they hate me more? The kids are willing to fight their own grandparents, aunts and uncles over me. They do not want to be my friend. They do not want to see me as an uncle or trusted adult. They do not want to see me as a parent. And they will yell at their relatives for referring to me as one of their parents. Not even their dad, but as one of their parents. And they are very firm in not wanting me to be their dad. They said nobody can take their dad's place. I even told them I would never try, but would like whatever relationship they're most comfortable with. Nothing works. Spending time with them is like dragging them to the dentist. They resist and act like it's the worst thing ever, and they won't open up to me or have fun, even one-on-one with just one of the kids. Not to mention, they constantly disrespect me when I'm alone with them. I get slightly less disrespect when others are around, but if they decide to make me spending time with them hell, the disrespect is dialed up by 100. My fiancé said she wants to get married and have more kids, that she's been ready for a while. She even proposed to me. But I have told her I do not feel good about it when her kids are where they're at with me. She knows I want kids of my own, and she told me we'll have them. She seems willing to believe her kids will come around to the idea of me someday, and that we just need to show them I'm not going anywhere. I think it's a big risk, and one that is harder to break. As it is, I could move out today and we're not entangled anymore. Marriage and kids together change that. My fiancé's family desperately wants me to stick it out, and once I told my fiancé that I am seriously considering ending things, they were begging me to commit and stick it out. They said the kids need someone as solid as me, and we could still have the marriage and kids I want too, that she wants more kids. My fiancé said it's not fair that we have to break up over this. I told her she's not the one who has to live with kids who hate her, and have admitted to their therapist and to cousins they would be happy to see me dead if it meant removing me from the equation. Am I the a-hole for wanting to leave? Now for the top comments. I have a friend that's in the same boat, only he did marry, and his stepkids that he has raised nearly their whole lives still hate him. He isn't their dad, and never will be. They are adults now and still treat him like he stole their mother from their father, when the father was dead for over 3 years before he met their mother. It's really sad to see, honestly. This is the future I don't want, but is the one I see if I stay. We have a friend who tried for years, and in the end, he had to leave. The son never changed. His feelings toward him never abated. He told me recently he lost so many years hoping and trying. No, you're not. They're kids, and they're obviously still hurting, but there's only so much that you can reasonably be expected to put up with. You have clearly tried to have this conversation with your partner, but she needs to realize that their hostility has to end, or you walk. Good luck, OP. I fear you will need it. I also think we might need to face the reality that nothing will make their hostility toward me end. I feel like she could punish them indefinitely to try and make them realize, but from what I've heard, that usually backfires and adds to the resentment and hostility. Thanks, I feel you're right, though it makes me want to just end it all more regardless of what others want. Others may try to pressure you, but you are the one living through this hell. Unless they want to try swapping places with you, they don't get a say. I bet most people would run from the offer to trade places with me to see what it's like. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my boyfriend that he's getting an ego over something a high schooler can do? Hi everyone. So I, 31 female, have been in a relationship with my boyfriend, 33 male, for about a year, although we had been friends for a long time before this. For some context, I don't think academics or education level dictates how smart someone is, but this is important for the overall story. I grew up as the firstborn daughter of an immigrant family, was always expected to get straight A's, and did, went to get my undergrad, and then eventually completed my master's degree a few years ago. It's not something I was passionate about, but cultural and family pressure is why I did it. And I don't necessarily regret it. I have a stable career at a job I like now. On the other hand, my boyfriend never graduated high school. He's smart in other ways. He can fix cars and toilets and mount a TV. Handy. I consider this a type of intelligence. And he can hold a conversation on any topic because he's an avid watcher of documentaries and really likes historical nonfiction. He also has severe ADHD that was never medicated and has never been able to keep a job. Constantly fired because he has time blindness and can also sleep through any alarm. His family supports him financially and unconditionally. We're both very different people, and I always thought it was a strength, but I'm realizing now it may not be. He's always had grand ideas for himself, wanted to become a famous actor, then a game streamer, then a horror novel writer, etc. And one day earlier this year, he stated he wanted to become a mechanical engineer. He was very confident he could do it, and this time he actually took the steps to get his GED by enrolling in online classes so he could finish high school and then apply to colleges after. This is when things started to break apart. He started taking chemistry, beginner, and math at the level someone in 11th grade would take, and I think began to quickly realize how difficult it was going to be after talking a big game. He's not used to feeling dumb. He's always the smartest one in his friend group and speaks over everyone else. I think his struggle with these high school topics did some damage to his ego, and he began taking it out on me. For example, on a night we were supposed to watch a movie, he wanted to study chemistry instead, so I sat next to him and studied with him. It was things like definitions of what covalent bonds and ionic bonds are, along those lines. I made a very casual comment like, "Oh cool, I get to learn this stuff too." He looked at me, snorted, and said, "You don't know what a covalent bond is?" The way he said it to me, it was like he thought I was the world's biggest dumbass. I told him I haven't touched this stuff in over 12 years, so no, it's not something I have stored in my brain. In the coming weeks, he would send me Instagram reels related to chemistry or science. One of them was about 3 minutes long, with a guy explaining how some machine works with chemistry using a lot of heavy jargon. I jokingly said, "Wow, that's cool and a lot of words." He looked at me and said, "You didn't understand that?" It was all fairly simple concepts. This behavior was really starting to get on my nerves. It kept happening and happening, even with other things too. For example, we were streaming a movie online and he dropped the call without saying anything, then called me back 20 minutes later saying he fixed something and we could try again. I asked what the issue was, out of curiosity, and he said, "I would explain it to you, but you wouldn't understand. Go learn about tech stuff first and then I can explain it." Later, I learned that his call dropped because he got the blue screen of death. Who the hell needs to learn tech stuff to have that explained to them? Anyway, this was a behavior that persisted for months, where he would go out of his way to point out how dumb I am, or how lacking in knowledge I am, and made it seem like a personality flaw, that I didn't know all the chemistry stuff he was learning. He completely never mentioned math because, in fact, I did know that stuff. I was a math tutor for 4 years while completing my undergrad. So by the time he finished that course with an 84%, I was just tired. He kept going around bragging to all his friends that he got an 84% in chemistry and that he barely tried. It gave me the ick because it reminded me of a middle schooler bragging about his report card and not a grown man trying to pursue an education in engineering. The final jab was when he made a passing comment about how he just gets this science stuff more than me and is intuitively more interested in it. So I told him, 16-year-olds take this chemistry class every year and pass it easily. I'm not sure it warrants getting this much of an ego over. And he's been mad ever since. Was there a better way to have handled this? Am I the a-hole? Here's the deal. He's insecure about his own lack of education and career. He desperately wants to feel like he has some knowledge that you don't have. Either that, or he's just an immature man-child. Or both. Not the a-hole. I mean, he's taking high school classes and being financially supported by his parents, while heavily overestimating both his own intelligence, based mostly on what he's learned from TV documentaries, and his contribution as a partner. He's basically a 16-year-old boy. Not the a-hole. From the way you describe it, you aren't randomly cutting him down. You are responding to months of condescension and little digs that would get under anyone's skin. It sounds like his confidence in finally tackling academics crossed the line into ego and insecurity-fueled one-upmanship. The 84% with barely trying thing, plus the way he'd point out what you wouldn't understand, honestly comes off more childish than celebratory. Your comment about high schoolers passing that class was blunt, sure, but it was also a reality check after he'd been putting you down for weeks. And you are still with him. Why? Years of friendship where he acted the complete opposite of what was described in this post, I guess. Holding out for that version of him to come back. Probably the most simple answer, although not the most logical. At this point, I've been in therapy for about a month. It seems like I'm prepping myself for the breakup, just needing that support. Look, I'm going to be blunt. He's not used to feeling dumb. He's always the smartest one in his friend group and speaks over everyone else. He's always been an egotistical butthole who legitimately thinks they are the smartest of his friend group. Really? In everything? And always speaks over everyone else. This tells me that he's always had an overinflated ego, and as long as it wasn't challenged, he wouldn't be too horrible. But now you're seeing what happens when his self-image as the smartest person in the room is dented, he lashes out. Edit. Thanks everyone for the responses. It was way more than I expected, and I had to have this post locked before it got too out of hand. I agree with a minority of people who did call me out on lashing out. It wasn't okay to do, nor was it justified. And yes, I did softly tell him multiple times certain things were hurtful. He acknowledged it, but it kept continuing. I think what he's going through is difficult, but I also don't want to be with someone who treats me poorly because they're stressed or feel they're in a tough spot. I know this post was long, but it obviously only captures a fraction of the overall relationship. That being said, the majority opinion that this isn't compatible has been heard and is also echoed by people in my personal life. Guess I just needed to hear it from strangers. Thanks again. Last story. Am I the a-hole for giving my pregnant girlfriend an ultimatum? My girlfriend Jen and I have been together for 4 years. Back in April, 2 great things happened. We found out Jen is pregnant, and I closed on a house for us to move into. Our family and friends know about the pregnancy, including Jen's best childhood friend, Amanda. I will admit, I never liked the dynamic between Amanda and Jen, but it did not really affect our relationship since Amanda lived across the country. After finding out about the pregnancy, Amanda decided to move back home. We live in Jen and Amanda's hometown. Amanda has been back since late May, and all hell has broken loose. Jen has always felt a little self-conscious in our relationship. I work construction and do personal training. She feels intimidated by small girls, but I have no idea why. She is a sexy AF woman with amazing curves. Amanda has done nothing but play into Jen's insecurities and anxieties since being back. Jen and I have never been the tracking location couple or the looking through phones couple. We always considered that a red flag in a relationship. Amanda is convinced Jen that she needs to start doing that. So, she has been looking through my phone regularly and finding nothing. I have communicated my hurt and frustration and that I think she needs to distance herself from Amanda. She kept rebuffing my concerns. About 2 weeks ago, Jen again asked to look through my phone. I told her in no uncertain terms that this would be the last time she looks through my phone. If she again sees nothing suspicious, then she needs to agree to go to counseling and distance herself from Amanda. She agreed, looked through my phone, and found nothing suspicious. But she soon reneged on her promise to do counseling and distance herself from Amanda. I decided to move out. We are currently on a month-to-month lease in an apartment until renovations are done on the house I bought. I am staying with a friend until the house is ready, and then I will move in alone. Jen has asked me to reconsider. I refuse. She will likely need to move in with her mother, which is not ideal given the limited space, and I feel terrible about that for my child. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. All I can picture in my head is an evil laugh and hands rubbing together from Amanda. She played your baby mama like a fiddle, not the a-hole. Every relationship is different, but I never understood people who have to have passwords for each other's phones. Like, when has that ever stopped someone from cheating? You either trust someone or you don't. And if you don't marry them, and you definitely don't have kids with them. I mean, I have the password to my husband's phone, but because sometimes his phone is closer and it's easy and convenient, I've never bothered to snoop like that. I trust him. I'm waiting for Amanda to hit on the poster. Jen doesn't deserve a personal trainer/construction guy, but I sure do. My thought too. Suddenly she'll try to get weirdly close to the baby. Then OP. She'll try to form a relationship with him, probably making up an involved pity story that's a total lie. She'll get drunk and try to make a move on him. She'll say that OP deserves someone who trusts them and cares more about her child than anything else. She'll play on the fact that Jen is postpartum and her hormones and emotions are everywhere. It seems like OP has a good head on his shoulders, so hopefully he'll shut that down long before it happens. But if he were to open up to it, I guarantee Amanda would jump on that so fast. It doesn't make sense that Amanda decided to move home after hearing about Jen's pregnancy. Grown adults, even best friends, don't upend their life because their best friend is pregnant. My guess is that something happened with Amanda, and now she is back in their hometown and wants Jen to put her first over the boyfriend. She had a bad breakup about 6 months ago. I do not know all the details. She works remotely, and her company's home office is located here, so not much upending she had to do. Info: is your house exclusively in your name? Not the a-hole regardless. She's untrustworthy and unstable, and you don't deserve that. You cannot ever fix someone who doesn't want to be fixed. I'm just trying to figure out whether there's going to be a property battle on top of the custody battle. Yes, house exclusively in my name.